To discuss this development, to assess the outlook of the sector in the second half of the year, I'm being joined virtually by the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of Dignity Finance and Investment Limited. He's also a past Director General of Abuja Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Dr. Chijoke Ikechukwu. Good afternoon, Dr. Ikechukwu. It's really good to see you.
Good afternoon. It's my pleasure. Good afternoon.
Yes, I know we are talking manufacturing, but something came to my mind while I was taking the introduction to this discussion, and it's the issue around Forex, which is also important for manufacturers. The CBN has come out to say they are trying to manage the demand and supply side. You are an operator and you know what is happening in the business environment. Do you think they are doing enough? What can be done? More than 700 naira to a dollar as we speak. It is worrisome.
It is very worrisome to the entire country, and it looks like there is a free fall of the currency that we have today, and that is just very worrisome. In spite of all the intervention that CBN has done over the years, we're still having this. But you and I know that most of the things causing these exchange rates we're seeing today are not also as a result of the fault from CBN. A lot of other things are contributing to this. The revenue base that is depleting every day, which is as a result of what is going on in the oil sector, and again, what is going on in some other sectors. Those are not within the purview of the control of CBN. So they are working against a tide that is actually too strong. Otherwise, the interventions that have been done should have been able to stabilize the foreign exchange market. But unfortunately, it is not. Today, we are seeing a very fast free fall. Sometimes you ask for a rate in the morning, they will give you a particular rate. By afternoon, that rate has increased again. And so there is no way an average manufacturer can do well with that kind of instability happening in our system. So it's very worrisome to every sector actually of the economy. And so not only with the manufacturers, all the sectors are suffering this right now, and we're having that problem. So I think the country, both the CBN and the fiscal end of government should be able to take certain decisions that should bring down the rate. Otherwise, it is very scary and frightening the way the thing is rising up.
I'll follow up with this, that clearly we need an attitudinal change as Nigerians. I think we need that. Our dependence on our focus on foreign goods need to obviously reduce. One thing is clear. The CBN has always talked about some things that we can manufacture that we keep importing, like the likes of toothpick and some other items that were restricted. Now, how can we build capacity so that when we can at least reduce this dependence? One thing I also know would help our forex market is if the Dangote refinery and the Port Harcourt refinery comes on stream, will reduce our spending on FX. What do you think about it?
Obviously, that is one thing that is going to, the Dangote refinery, when it takes effect, when it starts production, we expect that should actually help the FX market. And if we can actually increase our local production and the productivity of our refineries, that should actually help the FX market. Don't forget that apart from the fact that we're not going to be importing these products, there are many byproducts of refinery. We are talking about the carbon black, there are paraffin wax, and many things that are really byproducts that are also being exported and to gain so much of FX. So we expect that there will be a lot to be exported when that is taking place. There won't be any pressure, obviously, on the government on whether to import petroleum products or not. We'll be exporting our products and we'll be getting our revenues, and those are the things that are going to help Nigeria. And until that happens, we are still going to be having this kind of pressure on foreign currency and foreign reserve. Just the other day, we read that the excess crude account has actually depleted to almost zero. So that is challenging. That is frightening. But we need to start looking inwards. When this kind of situation happens, until the refinery starts working, we need to start looking inwards. All those raw materials we thought we couldn't have within our country, we have to start sourcing them locally. We have to start sourcing for a whole lot of things that we used to import. We don't have to import anything now that we can produce or we can from within. Those are the things we have to do, and maybe do a little more of a backward integration within our country and see how we can reduce dependence on importation. If we do that, maybe that could help for now. But I know that one other thing that can actually push down the exchange rate right now is if the government goes out to do another euro bond or any foreign denominated bond or facility, and when the money comes, obviously that's going to give us a little leverage, and that will reduce the pressure. Otherwise, this is where we find ourselves right now, and the rates are not very friendly at all.
Let's now go back to what some of the challenges manufacturers face in this part of the world. We've talked about forex, importation of raw materials, and all of this. But we see the global inflation also affecting manufacturers, global disruption also affecting them, hiking the price of scarcity of diesel, which is also happening abroad. Talking about gas and energy prices, with scarcity of wheat and other manufacturing inputs due to this war. How did the manufacturers manage, and they were still able to get 0.7% increase in the MCC figures that came out from the Manufacturing Association of Nigeria?
Nigerians are known to be very resilient people. Resilient because in spite of all these challenges of FX, the raw materials that they cannot access because of FX challenges, the inflation rate like you mentioned, and taxes that are rising up here and there every minute. Don't also forget the fact that we have insecurity all over the place. Yet, the resilience in Nigerians will always make it possible for us to continue to strive to do business. They're saying that when one road closes, another one opens. Is a saying that actually tells a lot about what we do. There must be always a way out in solving our problems. Whether there will be problems, these problems will continue to exist. But as you continue to meet with your management team, you have to keep finding solutions to every single problem and to see how they will be solved. This MCCI is a confidence of CEOs of all these companies under man. They believe that there is still light on the other side of the tunnel, and when they believe so, they believe again that when we run through this government, the next years, things are going to happen. So that confidence means that whatever problem you're going through right now, you have to sustain it. You have to find solution to it in order for you to remain in business. And that is actually what is growing the manufacturers' confidence index to this extent.
I am worried because many will say when all other supporting activities continue to increase, price of diesel, price of raw materials and all of that, some will think that manufacturers might start to cut corners, and that might start to affect standards. And if you want to stay on the same price, you might have to start to reduce quality. And look at what has happened to PMS. One way or the other, there's been a slight increase because the marketers could not accommodate the margin that was the existing margin. So do you think that manufacturers will still want to, meet up with all of the standards coupled with these challenges that they face?
When situations like this happen, situations of inflation or high prices of goods and services, the ultimate price will always be paid by the consumers, ultimate consumers. If there is an increase in the price of diesel, the manufacturer adds that to his cost of production. And when he adds that to his cost of production, it will affect its cost, the selling price. And when it affects its selling price, the ultimate consumer will pay more for it. So as far as they're concerned, consumers are still able to pay for certain productions that are taking place. And if that is the case, they are still in business. It's the consumers that are actually having their depleted pockets, And so when we see this happening, this index is supposed to be rising up. However, you will discover that the index may not be the same with people, with manufacturers of luxury goods. Usually when these things, when there is this kind of headwinds, manufacturers of luxury goods are going to be having reduction in demand of their products. So, but when you are producing basic needs of people, food items, confectionaries, we are expecting that people must wash their clothing, so they must use bathing soap and washing soap. People must eat their food. So the only thing is that consumers are going to be consuming, obviously, but are going to be paying higher for it. But if they are manufacturing some luxury goods, people can do without repainting their houses for now, and think they have to wait until the right time. And some other luxury goods, like some kinds of gold and ornaments and maybe vehicles, may not actually be a time for now. So that's just what is pushing up the index for manufacturers.
Let's wrap up on this note. What ease of doing business strategy do you think governments can, adopt or follow up with to make it easier for manufacturers while they grapple with issues at one end? At least they could be eased up at the other end. This is not a time for multiple taxation. This is not a time for levies that are unnecessary. What more do you think government can do to make the environment more conducive for manufacturers?
If I were government, the first thing I would do is to remove every tax on exportation, every levy, every fee on exportation, so that every manufacturer can manufacture for the export market. Because if you're manufacturing for the local market, you may not make so much profit. So remove all taxes, remove all levies, remove all things coming from, that are paid by exporters, and make export business as free as possible, so that everybody will start thinking export and not import in any form. If that is done, you see that a lot of manufacturers, even though they are losing, they are incurring more costs producing locally, they're going to be thinking that when they export, they will cover it, considering the exchange rate. And that is what I thought the government should do right now. Remove all levies and all taxes on exportation, and let us have more export products and more exporters going forward.
Amos, thank you so much. But just in 1 minute, any outlook? What is your projection with the outlook? Don't forget, we are moving towards an election year, and many believe that a lot of shift is going away from economic policy issues, and it's moving towards politicking. What's your outlook for manufacturing at this time?
When we go into election year, in the period of the primaries of these political parties, you saw that some people that were into outdoor advertising, they had a lot of billboards, a lot of printing took place, a lot of billboards took place. So for them, that sector had its boom. And so electionary period will have a lot of boom in certain sectors of the economy, in printing and outdoor advertising and many areas. In some other areas, there may be a slow or a lull in that area, just because people are just watching the economy and things like that. Usually, towards the end of a particular tenure like this, businesses slow down. So, but I do not think that will obviously affect the outlook so much. The only major thing that will affect outlook right now, from my own expectation, is the level of insecurity, which is threatening so much. If that continues the way it is being, if it's being read, then it may threaten the outlook. But somehow we're still moving on, and until that happens, the outlook is still going to be gloomy.
It's a good way to live it. Managing Director, Chief Executive Officer of Dignity Finance and Investment Limited, Dr. Chijoke Ekechukwu. Thank you so much, and do enjoy your weekend.
Thank you very much.